What's up, sickos? The survivors are safe, and the gods of the world have been toppled. One could even say the risk has been washed away. With the threats of this new world thwarted, and the rain falling on a peaceful planet, we can add Risk of Rain to our list of Sick Shaka scores. Ladies and gentlemen, bust out of your drop pods because it's time to jump into this review. There are a few things to consider when thinking of a score for Risk of Rain 2. There are the various survivors you can play as, the multiple endings to explore, and the goobers and goblins you fight along the way to the big bads of this universe. With all that being said, let's break those down. I think the easiest of the three topics would be to break down the various ways you can actually beat this game. There are currently 3 different ways to win in Risk of Rain 2. The first, and being most obvious, is beat one of the final 3 bosses. There is Mithrix, the original god of this world, the Voidling, and the False Sun. After arguably intense, difficult battles, you either run back to your ship and flee the moon, jump into a portal and end the game, or sacrifice an item you gained along the way to use in your next run. I would say that my friends and I enjoyed the False Sun's ending the most. And spoiler alert, but if you beat the False Sun, you can also unlock him as a new survivor. Just saying, that's kinda cool. The second ending you can achieve was added during a Moment Fractured update, which allowed players to loop their run and jump into a portal during the 3rd stage. This brought the survivors to a separate realm with floating islands in what is known as the Obelisk. When the players interact with the Obelisk, it is destroyed and the run is considered complete. I would also say this is arguably the easiest way to end a run. If you are skin farming or just looking for an easy way out, this is the route for you. Finally is the solo only mode, which I have not completed myself as this is something I've only ever played with the Lean Legion. However, if you destroy the 3 time crystals scattered across the map, you can unlock the teleporter event, which, if I am understanding correctly, looks to be a speed run of a normal playthrough. The game already forces you to do normal runs quickly or suffer the consequences, so good luck to anyone who is looking to attempt this ending. I appreciate that this game is not slept on, even after some time. The game continues to have updates and DLC to enhance the player experience, offer new ways to play, and provide new survivors to fight back against the forces of evil, even if they are dookie. Looking at you, Chef. With all this being said, I think the developers have and continue to do a good job of keeping interest in their game, as well as creating meaningful updates to the game that enriches the experience for us players. It doesn't feel like a game that has outlived its time, as it is still enjoyable to pick up after a long day to burn some steam with my friends. So, we now understand our goal and how to get there, but what about the monsters and the minions in between us and our victory? Well, there are a few of them in our way, 73 to be exact. I would normally rank things like this, but there are 73, so instead you can watch as the list scrolls as we talk about the breakdowns. There are 5 different categories that the developers have broken them down into. The regular monsters, which are your common enemies that spawn all over and all of the time. Bosses, which spawn once you hit the teleporter and are tougher than your average monster. Special monsters, which require the player to meet certain requirements prior to them spawning. And finally, your special bosses, which, much like special monsters, require special setup to encounter them. Mithrix and False Sun are included in these. The longer your runs go, the more difficult your encounters and battles will get, so time management is key in this game to ensure you aren't reaching the harder enemies prior to the end of the game. But survivor beware, if you go too fast, you won't get the items required to ensure you have the right gear for the final fights as well. Alright, time to get to the fun part. Let's rank the available survivors that we can play as and fight against the forces of evil in this game. Starting with my least favorite, Chef. Chef is going to land himself in our last tier by himself, the D tier. None of the Lean Legion liked playing this character, as his playstyle is vastly different from the others and he has little to offer in terms of new and improved attack. The way to unlock Chef was of course interesting, but it was luck based on if you got the level or not, and only one of the team could unlock him at the time, making it even harder to get in a timely manner. Overall, He just wasn't that fun to play, and took more effort than the others to even unlock, so he can stay there on the bottom and think about what he did. Moving on up to the B tier, we have Rex. Rex was another character you needed a certain level and item to unlock, but I think they executed this one a little better and made the character more fun to play. I mean, who doesn't want to play as a little plant guy with legs? In all honesty, Rex wasn't one that I played a lot, as there are a lot of other survivors whose loadout and gear work much better for me and how I like to play. No hate here, just not my typical playstyle. Next on our list is going to be Captain. This is one of the earliest ones you can unlock, given all you really need to do is beat the game and get back to your ship to obtain him. He's a little slow, and his attacks are also kind of slow for my liking, and is another one that I really didn't play all that often, but once again, there's nothing here to say he's a horrible choice. Up now is Engineer, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, his playstyle doesn't really match mine, as he is more of a support character, and I'm more a go and destroy kind of player. However, I do recognize the usefulness of his turrets in giving them the fungus to continuously heal everyone in their range. It is a pretty broken way to play, but beyond that, his offense isn't much for me. Higher on the tier now, we make it to A tier with our first contender, False Sun. In order to play him, you must first beat him in his own ending of the game, and honestly, this ending was the most fun for me. He has a pretty good balance of both close-up and physical ranged attacks, but he's just another slower character for me. If he were a little speedier, I do think he would be broken, but this also keeps him from going higher on our list. After False Sun comes Artificer, who I really liked in the beginning, but after the release of Seeker, was sort of made obsolete in my opinion. Artificer's attack is awesome in my opinion, and I love the Fire and Ice theme, but everything Artificer can do, Seeker can do better, and has a way better special power skill set in the end. Nothing wrong with Artificer, but rest of the list are just better for me. Speaking of, Commando makes his appearance next on our list. He's your pretty run-of-the-mill basic survivor that you truly can customize into how you want to play him. That all sounds well and good, and it is. Problem is, though, if you do not get the correct items, and you do so quickly, he can fall off pretty quick as well. This is not a playstyle problem, this is just the way he is designed, as I would argue he is the most player-friendly. I mean, no offense when I say this, but I would call Commando the tutorial survivor of the bunch. That all said, if you know how to create a good enough build, you can absolutely break Commando. Coming up next on our list would be none other than Mercenary. He's another really fun one to play given his speed and mobility that is available to him, two of my favorite things. The thing that kind of holds Mercenary back though is that he doesn't have any ranged attacks, so you have to be up close and personal. This is not a bad thing, but if I'm going to be up and close and personal, I would rather be playing a tank that hits hard and takes a lot of damage. The speed is nice to help dodge attacks, but if your shield and overshield aren't cooking, you're left pretty defenseless. I wish I could put my boy Acrid higher on the list, but he fits here pretty nicely. He's just what I spoke about being, the strong, tanky survivor who can hit the enemies where it hurts and hit them hard. He also has a little bit of ranged attack being the acid spray, but his bread and butter is the claws on them hands, which are pretty nice, but that's why he only snugly fits here. Sliding in next would be one survivor previously mentioned, Seeker. Seeker is extremely similar to Artificer with the added bonus of being able to fly around at the cost of some HP, and also being able to fully revive all survivors once per map. If I had to pick my favorite DLC character, Seeker would take the cake for me. I really don't have much to say here for any downsides. Not only just for Seeker, but for the upcoming survivors as well. They did a really good job with Seeker and the rest of the list here. These are really coming down to just playstyles and personal preference at the end of the day. Further up our list would be Loader. Loader plays a lot like Acrid, but with the bonus of being able to swing around like Spider-Man. She hits hard with her exosuit and can use a grappling gun to swing across the map and smack into enemies. One of the best things, however, about Loader is that she can literally take 0 fall damage given this ability. I had a ton of fun playing her and found her one of the easiest survivors to play as. Cannot recommend enough. Up next on our list is none other than Void Fiend. Void Fiend was very fun to play as and quick to learn. Void Fiend's gimmick is that it has 2 different phases available to the player. The basic one being a rapid shot and the second phase being a laser beam. The more purple items you gather, the easier it is to switch into the red continuous laser blast phase of the survivor. I would say Void Fiend starts with pretty good mobility as well. I just wasn't aware of the more that you heal, the less likely you are to enter into that second phase. I feel I could play Void Fiend better given this information now, but for now, this is a solid spot on the list. I truly struggled with this next survivor as she was the first one I ever played, and also one of my most favorites, but I do have to place Huntress at the top of Tier A. She has the best of both worlds, being mostly ranged, but having limited physical close range to offer as well. Obviously, the further away, the safer you are, but to each their own. Huntress's biggest downfall is that she is so glassy and easy to damage. Huntress is meant to be played as a ranged character, but even when I did, I would be killed often with little chance to catch back up, keeping her from reaching Tier S. You'll notice a pattern with the final 4, Huntress included, and it's that they all wield weapons. Which leads us to our next one, Bandit. Bandit is so much fun to play as they have 2 different kinds of guns, the regular rifle, and then the more powerful revolver. If you would imagine your favorite outlaw and then make him a robot, you got Bandit. Another good example of a survivor I really don't have complaints about, but the last 2 are just better overall for my play style than this guy's. The number 2 spot is Railgunner. Railgunner is peak with his heavy sniper shots and option to do rapid fire close range attacks. This is my perfect form of survivor and my favorite way to play these types of games where I can help my team from afar but defend myself up close if necessary. I've always liked the sniper type class more than any other with their quick movements and heavy attacks. Hats off to you, Railgunner. I have no notes. Which then of course means Multi is our number 1 survivor. Just like Railgunner, Multi has a strong sniper shot and close combat automatic nail gun. What sets my boy Multi apart is that he also gets 2 equipment slots, 1 for each weapon available. That way, not only can you ahoy, but you can also have an AoE available to you in times of need. Multi is the perfect survivor, hands down, and there is no changing my mind on this one. I see on this list there's also a bird-looking survivor called the Heretic, who I have never come across in any of my runs of this game. I would love to know more about this guy, as he honestly looks pretty fun to play as. With all this being said, there isn't much else to go over when it comes to Risk of Rain 2. We could talk about all the items and artifacts, but I believe that would be best for you guys to decide what builds work for you and whether or not you even want to add the artifacts in to change the base game. There is a lot to love about this game, and it is super easy to get into and enjoy. On top of that, you can tell the developers love this game, and listen to their fan base given the constant updates and new DLC additions and overall care given to this game. Risk of Rain 2, I am giving you the sickshockascore of 8 out of 10, as I truly have never had a bad time playing this game, and have enjoyed every level, ending, and survivor, for the most part, that this game has to offer. I hope to see more in days to come, as I know they're even working on the next DLC as the script was written. I cannot recommend it enough if you have a group of friends who like playing roguelike games with waves of enemies to take down, chests to loot, and big bads to take down a peg. Thank you, Sickles, for watching, and may your reign forever remain purple.